In 2016, when I became mayor, we started the Drug Task Force. And at first it was almost like therapy. Everybody who had been impacted by drugs wanted to get together and they wanted to share the story. I think there was a stigma involved, and they really had a hard time talking to people, but they felt maybe safe with our group, with our Drug Task Force. So those meetings were interesting because people wanted to talk about their experiences, what was happening, and they really wanted something to change, but they didn't know how to do that. And so over that year, I think our structure of our Drug Task Force took shape. The leadership emerged, so we had an effective Drug Task Force that was actually doing things rather than being like therapy. And so I'd reached out to Andy Platt, who is a friend of mine, and asked him if he would be interested in taking leadership in that group.
I was considering moving towards retirement. He asked me what I was going to do in retirement, and I said, well, I'm looking for some volunteer activities. And he said, I have a great opportunity for you to get involved. Would you get involved in the Drug Task Force that was just being formed? And my first reaction was, why do we need a drug task force in the city of Greene? Everything's fine here. So the mayor invited me to one of the community meetings that the paramedics were putting on about, I think it was in 2016, and about the issues facing the country, and all the way cascading down to the city of Greene. And I was shocked at one of the heat maps that the paramedics were maintaining, that we, on drug overdoses in the community, that we actually had drug overdoses in the neighborhood that I lived in. Shared that information with my wife, and we were just kind of shocked that there was that issue, and thought, we want to get involved, we want to understand a bit more and help.
I think the Drug Task Force has been impactful. So I think we should all be proud that we're addressing the issue in our community, and that's very important. I think the GO team that we established was really critical. It allowed us to reach out to people shortly after they overdosed, so we could offer them support, some love, some care, some treatment. I think that was huge for our community, and we've done so for drugs, we've done so for alcohol issues. So I think that was really an important step for us to be able to have that one-on-one interaction with people and offer them support and help. And trying to break down the stigma, I think, is the other thing that's really important, is just letting people talk about drug issues, letting them grieve, let them share.
Yeah, so ultimately I think the role of the quick response team here in Greene is just to be another avenue of resources for our residents. The opioid epidemic that we're experiencing in the state of Ohio, the heroin and the fentanyl, the drug, it just doesn't discriminate. We see patients who are in every different avenue of life. So ultimately just being that avenue of resources to connect people to potential treatment, and being just a resource for them to reach out to, knowing that they have somebody in their corner who can help them if they feel that they need that help.
So I remember we had a call one time. There was a young lady, she was at a parking lot, and we got a call for unresponsive and not breathing. We get there and her lips are purple, just breathing a few times a minute. I think we had information that there was a possible overdose. We did give her Narcan, and she started coming around. At that point, we took her to the hospital, and several days later, we received a lengthy letter from her, and just talking about how it started, why she was in this position, why she had overdosed. And I think that's one of the important things to point out, is many times it's innocent. People think it's just a drug user, and this is how it starts. But she was given something, I believe at a party at one time, and seemed innocent, took this, but immediately became addicted to it. So we see the impact that it has on everyone, our young people, old people. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you're doing, it can affect anybody at any time.
So as you might remember, in 2016, the overdoses got really bad. So that was the first year of our Drug Task Force. In Summit County, they were averaging about 25 overdoses a day, and that's a huge number. In 2022, right now, we're probably around 3 to 4 a day. So that was really a tough time.
So everyone can help to affect change in the communities, whether it's directly helping an individual get help or just working to help reduce the stigma and changing attitudes and the thought process of those that are struggling with addiction or mental health conditions. Trying to avoid those words like an addict or that person is crazy, and really trying to reference those individuals in first person. This is a person suffering from substance use disorder.
It can happen to anybody, and I think there's been a change in the last 5 or 6 years and people understanding that.